I was expecting it to be like a cliche therapy that you get in TV dramas.
Hmm.
And it started off like that. So similar to you, how kind of I think it makes you think it's going one way. He notices the two pairs of shoes when he goes in, and that was so. When I saw him notice that, and I was thinking, okay, this is obviously something from the game that, um, or from the last season that I've forgotten that I'm supposed to know
Mm.
about. So it's really interesting that they put things like that in that haven't been explained yet. Um, I thought it was a really nice touch. And then yeah,
Yeah.
we're kind of finding out she's possibly a bit of an alcoholic, although she's got a lot of grief that she's dealing with,
Mm.
and kind of massively deviates from the traditional TV therapist trope that kind of I was expecting it, and I would have been disappointed if it had gone down that route. So I think they handled it really well, and yeah,
I
it's
agree.
probably
It's
up there with my favorite scenes in the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I think actually this speaks to a broader, both positive and negative, that I found with this first episode, which is that moments where they've deviated from the source material and tried something new or expanded on characters or done something that was a bit unexpected, like the kind of the tonal rug pull of that scene. That was the stuff that I they were my favorite moments in the episodes. Dina and Joel's relationship being established really early is actually not something again that appears in the game particularly. It's never actually shown explicitly they have any connection. I can't even recall that they even have a scene together in the in part two in the video game. So super early in this episode, showing that they have that relationship together, and it's sort of Joel uses Dina as a sounding board for his frustrations with Ellie, was a really lovely touch and a nice again way to be faithful to the source material but deviate in a way that's interesting and meaningful. That for someone that hadn't played part two, they would just look at that as a really interesting, well played scene. For someone that has, it's a really nice subversion of what they expect, and I think that's where I think that this episode is in its best, is when they do that. Where I think it fell down, and again, I think I'm speaking perhaps more as someone who's played part two, was in moments where they were so self-referential and faithful to part two. The entire party scene at the end of the episode, some parts of
Yeah,
it were almost shot for shot remade from the game, and actually I found that it took myself out of it. I found myself actually being less invested in it because it almost felt like they were just hitting expected beats. The moments that were important landed really well, like the culmination of Dina and Ellie's tension and their relationship, the the sort of sarcastic comments from Dina towards Jesse, but like Joel's intervention and that whole sequence was almost like just lifted
oh really? Oh yeah, I
exactly as
didn't.
it
I was
was.
wondering if Joel got involved in the
He
in the
did,
game like
yeah,
that.
and it's
Yeah,
not that the moment itself doesn't make sense for the context of the show. They built up to that nicely, and Ellie having that extreme reaction to him was a sensible through line. They'd established that their relationship was fractious, and she perhaps is now doubting whether he told the truth or not. But I think that it just there was such a reliance on it being so faithful to those moments that actually it was unnecessary. It just felt like a wasted opportunity. There were perhaps characters we could have cut to in that scene that I know were in the background of that sequence. Like it would have been great to have followed Jesse off after his sort of being shot down by Dina, rather than just
yeah,
going
totally.
straight to what you expect. I just think it was less a failure of the moments that needed to land and more of a missed opportunity, I think, and an over reliance on it being sort of Easter egg focused. I just didn't think that clicked for me.